In the depths of the world's oceans, far below where sunlight can reach, lie secrets that nations still refuse to fully explain. During the Cold War, the ocean became a silent battlefield, and submarines were its most powerful weapons, designed to vanish without a trace. These steel giants carried nuclear missiles, classified technology, and hundreds of sailors. But some submarines didn't just patrol the deep, they disappeared into it. No distress signals, no survivors, just silence, and decades later, their true stories remain buried beneath miles of water. At the height of Cold War tension, American and Soviet submarines played a deadly game of hide and seek. These vessels were built to be invisible, running quietly for months while tracking enemy movements. But that invisibility came with terrifying risks. One mistake, one mechanical failure, or one secret confrontation, and a submarine could be lost forever. When that happened, governments often chose secrecy over answers, leaving families and historians to wonder what really occurred in the dark. One of the most haunting cases is the USS Thresher, a U.S. Navy nuclear submarine that vanished in 1963 during a deep diving test in the Atlantic. Suddenly, communication was lost hours later. Debris was found scattered across the ocean floor. Investigations suggested a catastrophic failure deep underwater, but the full details were classified for years. Officially, it was an accident. Unofficially, whispers spread experimental technology, design flaws, or even covert Cold War pressure pushing submarines beyond safe limits. Just 5 years later, another American submarine, the USS Scorpion, disappeared in the Atlantic while returning from a mission. No mayday call, no warning. When its wreck was eventually found, the damage raised unsettling questions. Some believed an onboard explosion caused by a torpedo malfunction. Others suspected an encounter with a Soviet vessel. The US Navy denied enemy involvement, but to this day, the true cause remains disputed, fueling decades of speculation. On the other side of the Iron Curtain, the Soviet Union suffered even more mysterious losses. One of the most famous is K-129, a Soviet ballistic missile submarine that vanished in the Pacific Ocean. In 1968, the Soviets searched desperately but never officially recovered it, unknown to the public. At the time, the CIA launched a top-secret mission called Project Azorian to secretly raise parts of the wreck from the ocean floor. Even today, what was recovered and what was learned remains classified. The silence surrounding K-129 is so deep that historians still argue over whether it was an accident, a collision, or something far more dangerous. Another chilling case is the Soviet submarine K-278 Komsomolets. In 1989, near the end of the Cold War, a fire broke out on board while it was submerged in the Norwegian Sea. Despite rescue efforts, the submarine sank into deep waters, taking dozens of crew members with it. Worse still, it carried nuclear material that now rests on the seabed even decades later. Concerns remain about radiation leaks, making the wreck not just a mystery, but an ongoing environmental threat. What makes these disappearances even more unsettling is how little information was shared with the public. During the Cold War, secrecy was considered a weapon. Admitting failures could signal weakness to the enemy. As a result, reports were altered, details removed, and questions left unanswered. Families of lost sailors were often given vague explanations, while the truth stayed locked behind classified files. Some researchers believed there were near collisions and underwater confrontations that were never officially acknowledged. Submarines tracked each other in total silence, sometimes only meters apart. A sudden maneuver, a sonar miscalculation, or an unexpected obstacle could lead to disaster. But if such an incident involved two rival superpowers, neither side wanted the world to know how close they came to open war. Even today, the ocean guards these secrets well. Many of these submarines lie in trenches so deep that reaching them is nearly impossible. Technology has improved, but political barriers remain. Governments still classify documents related to these losses, citing national security, even though the Cold War ended decades ago. This raises a chilling question. What are they still hiding? The silent submarines of the Cold War are more than wrecks of steel. They are underwater tombs, reminders of a time when the world stood on the edge of nuclear destruction. Each disappearance represents lives lost, stories untold, and truths buried beneath pressure and darkness. The deeper we look, the clearer it becomes that the Cold War never truly ended. It simply sank below the surface. If these stories fascinate you, imagine how many more secrets are still waiting in the dark. Subscribe to the channel and stay with us as we uncover the hidden files, forgotten missions, and mysteries the world was never meant to see. Because some stories don't end, they just go silent.